Islamic mosque that is up in Boston that these two guys went to. And they're trying to make this mosque seem like this is just the all-American mosque. This mosque is on the front lines of fighting for the 4th of July and Martin Luther King. Nothing could be further from the truth. And we have Patrick Poole, who is with us. And Patrick has been at the forefront of the Muslim Brotherhood and Islamic terror cells here in America for a very long time. I don't think that there's a handful of people that have his credibility. And Patrick is here to tell us a little bit about what this mosque is, the history of this mosque, and who is involved. Patrick, they're saying that this was religion that did this to these guys. And the mosque, they knew he was a bad dude because, he stood up and said that we shouldn't emulate Martin Luther King. Is this mosque friends of Martin Luther King?
Well, it's doubtful because they have a long line going back to their very founding, their incorporation papers, where Abdurrahman al-Amoudi, the Al-Qaeda fundraiser, currently in federal prison, was one of the founders of this mosque and was involved in it for years.
This is also one of their spiritual leaders, their trustees, is the wheelchair guy over in Saudi Arabia.
In Qatar, yes. Yusuf al-Qaradawi, who's basically the chief jurist for the Muslim Brotherhood, and he's probably the most popular Islamic cleric on the planet. He has a Friday afternoon TV program called Sharia in Life on Al Jazeera.
I'm sorry, on what network?
Al Jazeera.
Oh, Al Jazeera. Well, we've heard from the president, that's just a good quality network that gives good people truth. If people would just watch it, you'll get the truth from Al Jazeera. That's what we've heard from Hillary and
interestingly,
the president.
For Qaradawi, who again was a trustee for the Islamic Society of Boston, Qaradawi holds the distinction for being the first Sunni Islamic cleric to issue a fatwa authorizing suicide bombings targeting Israel. This was back in 1994. Suicide bombing was typically a Shiite, kind of Iranian Hezbollah phenomenon. Mm-hmm. And then Qaradawi was the first Sunni cleric to give suicide bombings the green light. And I mean, that launched, all kinds of terrorist movements. And, this is the guy who, he's banned from the United States. In fact, the Islamic Society of Boston had a fundraiser featuring Qaradawi, but he had to do it by teleconference from Qatar, his office in Qatar, which, by the way, his office in Qatar, you look out his window and you can see into CENTCOM's compound there in Qatar, but that's a whole other story. But, these are some pretty noxious guys.
So this is also, if I'm not mistaken, this is the mosque that the Americans will remember this mosque. Not that anybody in the media will really point this out, but they'll remember this mosque as the mosque that had all of the kids come in from the local area and had these school kids come in and get a tour of the mosque. And some would say a little indoctrination.
Well, even more than indoctrination, they had some of the kids line up for prayer. And one of the mothers who was with the group took video of this and handed it off to Charles Jacobs with Americans for Peace and Tolerance up there, who had been a very vocal critic of the mosque and was sued by the mosque for his criticism. And it ended up being a big hubbubaloo. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't just indoctrination. And last night, Stu played the clip of the woman teaching in the mosque that women in Islam have been free since the time of Muhammad, and only here in America it's only been for the past 100 years.
Right.
Well,
they were trying
women.
Yeah, what they were trying to do. This clip is amazing. This woman is claiming that under Muhammad women are free. Unfortunately, they kind of leave out the all important parts that. No, not really. In Saudi Arabia, you can't really even drive a car if you're a woman.
Right. And one of the other clips that we played last night was the current Imam, Abdullah Farouk, talking about jihad. We can't just be talking about jihad. We need to be doing jihad by the sword and the gun, too.
No, I think we've learned from the administration that jihad is a holy practice that brings you closer to God.
Yeah. Well, one of the things we didn't get to, and my hat's off to Stu. I mean, we covered a lot of ground last night. One of the things we didn't get to is that the former chairman of the mosque, a guy by the name of Osama Kandil, he was a trustee for another group called the Taiba Aid International Association with Abdurrahman al-Moudi, the Al-Qaeda fundraiser, which was a designated terrorist organization. And was raising money for Al-Qaeda. I mean, this is the chairman of the board.
But I don't think you understand.
Islamic Society of Boston.
I don't think you understand, though, that they kicked these guys out because they're so mainstream that when they said that, we should really celebrate 4th of July here in America, it made the Boston bomber angry, and he left. And so they kicked him out for 4 or 5 days, because that was a really bad thing. I think you're downplaying how American this mosque is and how much they love the whole Star Spangled Banner and everything. Yeah, well, one of the other current imams, Suhaib Webb, 2 days before 9/11, was out in California raising money for a convicted cop killer with none other than Anwar al-Awlaki. So I don't know if you can get any more red, white, and blue
than that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're now you're starting to see it. We have a video on the blaze now from the American Muslim Center, a mosque in Everett, Massachusetts. The clip, which is posted on the mosque's website, advertises the house of worship many activities. However, there's a woman in this named Kat, and she's speaking about how she recently converted to Islam. And the Blaze is wondering, and has the pictures side by side, it looks like this could be Catherine Russell, the bomber's wife. It's an interesting promo that you might want to see. Is anyone, Patrick, looking at this, really seriously looking at this mosque? And why does this mosque continue to get a pass from the United States government?
Well, because looking at any of its extremist ties has basically been outlawed by this administration. I mean, if you were to, and as I talked about last night, all the information, which is freely available, everything we've been talking about here for this segment is all open source. It's been reported by the Boston Globe, New York Sun, a bunch of other outlets. All this information was inside the DHS system, and back in late 2010, the Homeland Security purged all of the information. Again, all open source, all freely available, purged that information from the system. And from my understanding from some congressional investigators who are looking at this purge, there were hundreds of files of mosques and Islamic leaders, negative information that was part of this purge that they're having to look at.
Patrick, I thank you very much for all of your hard work. I thank you for all of the work that you've done on our documentary specials that we've done and all the things you've done, not only with us, but with PJ Media. You have been brave, outspoken, unflinching, and on the front lines this whole time. And there's only a handful of people that are doing that, and you're one of them. And we're very, very grateful. And Americans, if they don't know who you are or what you've done, America, you should look into Patrick Poole because you're a fearless guy, and I appreciate it. Thank you, Patrick.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay. The reason why it's amazing, here we are in the same city that September 11th happened, and I have to say something like that. I have to say, hey, thank you for being fearless. And all he's being fearless on is speaking the truth. All he is saying, no, that's who this guy is. This is what he's done. This is what terror organization he is a part of, and he's in this mosque. That's all he's doing. But in today's world, that's heroic. And why is that? because let me play for you some audio that let me play some audio for you of what our administration says or doesn't say about terrorists.
The term Muslim Brotherhood is an umbrella term for a variety of movements. In the case of Egypt, a very heterogeneous group, largely secular, which has eschewed violence and has decried Al-Qaeda as a perversion of Islam.
It did not bother you that he accessed information?
He accessed some information. What bothers me, quite frankly, are the allegations that are made against anyone who happens to be Muslim.
My question was, is Al-Qaeda acting out violent Islamist extremism?
Al-Qaeda is a violent organization dedicated to overthrowing the values that we intend to advance.
Yes or no?
Can I hear the question again? Jeez. I'll make it as clear as I can. We are not at war with Islam.
But radical Islam could have been one of the reasons?
There are a variety of reasons why people...
But was radical Islam one of them?
There are a variety of reasons why people do these things. Some of them are potentially religious based.
Okay, but all I'm asking is if you think among those variety of reasons, radical Islam might have been one of the reasons that the individuals took the steps that they did.
We see, say, radical Islam. I mean, I think those people who espouse a version of Islam that is not...
Are you uncomfortable attributing any of their actions to radical Islam? It sounds like...
No, I don't want to say anything negative about a religion that is...
No, I'm not talking about a religion.
Like
I'm talking about radical Islam. I'm not talking about the general religion.
Can't get him to say it.
It is amazing, and yet they'll talk about Christianity and those who believe in the Bible. Look, this is what happened with Fort Hood. No, let's not jump to any conclusions. This is what happened with Benghazi, and this is what's happening now. And you'll notice that each time it gets more violent. Fort Hood was awful. That was workplace violence. That has nothing to do with radicalized Islam. The guy is clearly a Muslim terrorist. No, workplace violence. Then what's next? Then you have Benghazi. No, that was a film that an American made, and that our system allowed to go out, and so people, and they have a right to be mad at us. They killed our ambassador. No, it had nothing to do with radicalized Islam. And this one? No, this one's religion. But see, when they put religion into it, because they know they're losing this case, when they put religion into it, they're very, very smart. They're not stupid. They're very smart. Because if we allow them to make this just a case of religion, well, now it's a catch-all. Now we can say, really, all religion is a problem. Well, Christians, yeah. I mean, they go after Christians. They call us extremists all the time. I'm sorry, you can say whatever you want about Timothy McVeigh. Not a Christian. Not a Christian. The other one they like to use is the Olympics bomber.
Again, not a Christian.
Not a Christian. In fact, he said he liked Nietzsche over the Bible. Not a Christian. Now, that doesn't mean that Christians don't do this. Yeah, there are crazy people in everything. But what they're doing is denying. If you have cancer and you keep denying that you have cancer, eventually the cancer eats you alive. I got news for you, America. We have cancer, and it's called radicalized Islam. We have cancer, and we are pumping more cancer into it because we're in bed with Saudi Arabia. You're not in bed with Saudi Arabia. I'm not in bed with Saudi Arabia. Oh, no, wait a minute. No, I'm sorry. Maybe you are. Maybe you are actually in bed with Saudi Arabia. You just don't know it. Why? Why would we possibly ever want to do anything with Saudi Arabia? Why are they getting away with this? Who's encouraging this? Well, maybe you should go to a website that's out there called #SABC.org. U.S. Saudi Arabian Business Council.
You mean dash? Yeah, not
yeah,
dash.
Dash. Look that up. Just look it up. Just Google U.S. Saudi Arabian Business Council. These are all really good people from Saudi Arabia. All of them. Above board. Wonderful. peaceful, loving people. All of them. With hundreds of millions of dollars being pumped into the auto industry, the multinational banking industry. There's tons of Saudi business opportunities in Missouri. In fact, Joplin. All kinds of opportunities. And the Saudis are there for you, America. They're there. And they're helping. Just like this mosque up in Boston. Oh, they have poured millions of dollars, Saudi dollars, millions, into the Boston area. And all you have to do is just, they're in there singing the Star Spangled Banner. They love Martin Luther King and everything that you love. All you have to do is turn your face. Turn your face. Don't do it, America. Don't do it. You remain calm. You remain reasoned. You just educate yourself on the truth. Know who your friends are, because I have news for you. The longer this goes, the next terror strike will get even worse. They won't even admit that Iran had any knowledge about what was happening up in Canada last week. Oh, Al-Qaeda? No, they had nothing to do with anything.